Beautiful day, Bravehearts. I'm Dr. Sage Wolf. I am out here in Ixtapa, Zihuatanejo, Mexico at the DoD 5-Star World Healing and Training Retreat. Today is another special day because we are doing this 8-part series on Be Brave Worldwide. Save the bees, save the world, save yourself. And so this is a part 4 on our 8-part series. And so before, on the parts before, we were going through the past, the present, and the future, and now we kind of want to go indulge a little bit more in the future on how the bees are going to be affected and the honey is going to be affected and how the bees affect us and how frequency is everything. And that's why this company is so amazing. We have Jake and Brent on who come on every single week with me, but we have a special guest today, one of the amazing beekeepers, Jackie. And she's going to be indulging in how the flow and how the actual situation goes, on how the setup goes, on how the division goes, and how the bees truly react when the pure wave cell is in a unit or in one of the hives opposed to when it is not. How's it going today, everybody?
Going good. Great. Excellent. How are you, Braveheart Nation? Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Good to be back again. Right. So we get into it, Jake. Here we go. And now this is so exciting because this is all the stuff we were telling them is what this is leading to. This is why we do it. Right.
And just to recap, everyone, I want to highly encourage you to review those first few segments where we talked about the past, where all this comes from, the sacred geometry, the sacred design. We led into the present. A lot of we talk shop about the present stressors of today for both the bees, but also humans. And the bees, being that indication species, guided us into how solutions that were part of an old paradigm that's still being used today is being used in the new paradigm, which we talked last week about the future and how energy medicine is affecting positively the human biology. And that's not just human biology, that's also the bees and why we went in that direction. And so where we're leading off today is we have one of our beekeepers. Her name is Jackie Spandell. She has been part of our research project, and she's been working with her hives using the Pure Wave technology. And so we're going to learn and hear from her today, but we're going to have this amazing discussion and disclosure and open forum about what's really happening in the field, literally and metaphorically in the field. The bees, once again, everybody, why they're so important. Their pollinating contribution, and they're one of many different pollinators in the world, but we're able to witness what is making a profound impact and what also isn't, and what's also causing the stressors. They're amazing guides and leaders in that field, yet they also have this beautiful, by the creator, this innate intelligence to go to work, to do their job, to go and produce and pollinate and work, yet they also indicate when the things aren't running well. And so we listen to them, but in order to do that effectively, Brent and Jackie, we need the relationship with the stewards, the shepherds of the bees, and the beekeepers. And so, Brent, I'll pass the ball back to you. I'll let you know you have a close relationship with Jackie, working with getting the Pure Wave cells into the hive. And then we'll have Jackie say hello. And then we have some video clips. We've got some great discussion. Thank you, everybody, for being here on Be Brave on Braveheart Nation. Brent Knudsen, take it away, my man.
Thank you, mate. Last year was a big year for us, but I just want to go back to our last show that everybody saw last week, when we all talked about, and even we had questions about, how stressed everybody is and how it seems like, the world's caving in. And, we actually had questions on that, can we as human beings fix these things, right? So that was last week. And so we are so excited now. We told you why it isn't that way and why there's such a positive future. But this is all about that. So this is about practically taking some of the issues that are going on, which Jackie and I have been talking about over the year, the stresses that are going on in the environment for the bees, and then what we can do to alleviate and strengthen that. So without going over it again, we have our technology, and I reached out to Jackie about a year and a half ago because she was doing beekeeping with her partner Jan, and we started to talk about how we'd approach this, and we formed a really great friendship and relationship just over how we'd approach it and what we were doing. And so the idea for you today is to find out practically, rather than us talk about it, show you what we're doing, how we're going about it, and let you speak. I'm going to, with Jackie, let her speak about what we went through last year, what it meant by, the pure wave cells being in there, what she noticed, what her observations were, what happened in the fall. And what we'll do, Jackie, is somewhere between when you're starting to go there, we'll break, let's say, what we happened in the spring and then the summer, and then Jake can come in and show a video of you showing what was going on, and then you can talk about the fall, and then this spring what we're doing. So Jackie, without further ado, just take off how you saw it from when you started and going through, and we'll pick up a video somewhere in between. Okay?
Sounds good. All right. So about last year, we introduced our pure wave cells into the hives. I think it was around April, May that we put it in. We started off our hives, we had 5 hives that came from the previous year. That was really our second year of honey working with the bees. Coming out of the second year, which actually last year was our third year. And basically, we introduced them and we put them on the top of the frames. And just to kind of get them used to it before we can open them up, the bottom kind of entry reducer, you kind of didn't want to do it too quick. So you kind of introduced the cells at the top of the frames, and already directly they just started crawling all over it, not making any mess. They were just drawn to it, and almost immediately, normally, if you introduce anything dark colored, you're like a bear. But they were not in attack mode. They were pretty calm about it. So we put about 3 cells in those hives out of the 5, and then pretty much, I would say, within several weeks, the hives just exploded, and they started making brood, making babies. The queen was making lots of eggs, and we had to combat that with the swarms. So the swarms, they started probably beginning of May, and they did we had at least 5 of them right off the bat. And so we were catching them, and then even I was splitting the hives, but the energy that just was coming through those was amazing, really was. So after that, we basically ended up having to split some hives, and in the end, we ended up having about, up to 9 hives. We donated a couple of swarms just to some friends, but they were just a great, especially going into those hives at the beginning. They were just so calm and so tranquil. You could just easily work with those bees, especially the ones that had the cells versus the ones that didn't. They were kind of a little more sluggish, taking a little time, building up their brood or their nest. And I was already putting up honey supers, so that was making honey, probably early June last year off of those 3 hives. So you could really feel that the production was just going rampant right away. So it was really nice to just see that spike and saying, oh, wow, they're so prolific. They're so vibrant and fertile. So, but the main thing I think is just that they were calm to work with. They were more gentle. It's like you could just pet them. But they were just being very calm.
Jackie,
gentle.
Jackie, just because we know what it means splitting hives, just explain to everybody what that meant when you said you had to split hives, as to why that was and what that meant.
Yeah,
Like, why did you have to split hives? Yeah.
Yeah, so in the spring, usually to prevent, say, a swarm, which they'll abscond the actual hive, is we do one or two things. Well, we do as a beekeepers, we take, if you have two double brood boxes, deep brood boxes, then you'll reverse them, bring one up from the bottom. But the other thing is that if that's a strong colony right off the bat, you actually will, and you just, I don't know, I have the sense that they're starting to outgrow their space. And so what you do is take about 4 frames, usually the center frames, with a little bit of extra honey, and you put it into a new brood box. And you basically are creating a split. And that's one version you could do, but and that just helps mitigate that the hives are not going to be overproduced with bees, and then they're going to abscond and find another place to.
Because it's actually an indication of a really healthy hive. They're overproducing.
Mm-hmm.
So we just want everybody to know that when we put these pure wave cells in, or what's going on in these hives, when they have to be split, what Jackie's saying, it means they're overproducing. They're producing so many young and so many bees that they're running out of room. They're running out of the room and space. So as a beekeeper, Jackie has to be aware of that. Otherwise, the bees will take off on, right? Because they're looking for more space.
We have a question coming in right now wondering
Yep.
if you don't like split up the hive, is there negative effects? Like if it becomes too rampant with bees?
I'll let Jackie answer that. Yep.
Not necessarily it's a negative effect. It's more for the beekeeper, that if that hive ends up leaving potentially, that they could go to an adjacent tree or higher up, or just completely disappear out of your bee yard. And then you're going to have to, you will be left with little or no bees. Potentially not. There's also a potential that the remaining bees would say, okay, now we need to make a new queen, but the chances are less. And so I think you really want to like kind of have a step forward, but you really want to be in tune with what your bees are doing, and have a relationship. And I think even us just having this discussion about, using the disc, that's a relationship with also introducing these discs with the hive. I mean, it will just increase their production to be able to move forward and make more, make more honey and make more bees. But yeah, so basically you just want to make sure that you're kind of sometimes 2 steps ahead, but it doesn't mean that it's a negative effect if you don't split. But there's a chance that they could abscond. But I think with moving forward, if you do put those cells in, then you're more chance that they're going to just start proliferating quicker. And so you just want to make sure you're going to be on top of it. There's other things you can do to just kind of give them space as well, to prevent them from actually leaving.
So Jackie, what I
That's
heard,
great.
I love allowing the beekeeper, allowing you to build a better connection and relationship, like you just said, which is so important in those decision makings. Also, you reminded all of us that it's our pathway in health and in our journeys as human beings. And if you can proactively take initiative and be in touch, you can take a good proaction in your life when you have a connected and solid relationship with anything. But the calm and tranquil is what the cell, that's something actually a repetitive feedback and variable we get from our beekeepers is that the bees are able to have an easier relationship with. They're more calm, which allows, and what that is actually a side effect of them working in harmony, having their purpose, being able to go do what they're designed to do. And that analogy you can just flip right on the human condition as well. So, but no, I love it.
No,
Yeah.
when you think about it out there, when you meet people who aren't feeling good and they're in pain and they're not feeling good, they're a lot harder to manage than those people that are feeling good, right?
Right.
People that are feeling good are fun to be around. The ones that aren't feeling good, God bless them, it's a little rough for them. So the bees are no different. They're no different than us, right? So it's if we're feeling good, we're a lot easier to be around, I guess is
Yeah.
what we're saying, right? So,
Humans are more likely to sting when they are
they do it a
disrupted and
different way
irritated.
for sure.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, Jake, maybe you want to show a clip of
Sure.
Jackie actually showing everybody what she was talking about, and then we'll go into what happened after that. So, that way we can show what Jackie was up against and what she was doing.
No, that's perfect. I queued it here so that I can share just that little segment here. Perfect.
Yeah.
And I think it's a couple seconds and then it begins. Here we go.
They're not anxious, where the other hives, they tend to be more on guard. These three produce more honey over the course of the summer. They were just working bees. So yeah, they're just a nice treat to work with.
So that's the clip. I know there's more, and I can find them while we chat. But it was a short.
Well, and there's more that'll be coming, but it just gets across, in actually seeing in the hives where Jackie, was. Then what I want to do is, so that went through the summer. That probably when we did that, or when Jackie was saying that was probably in the summer. I think that was somewhere about August, maybe. Maybe would you think maybe?
Might have been, yes, or actually, I think it might have been early summer, maybe.
Yeah. I think you're right. So
yeah,
it's hard to remember. But so then what happens is we went through the summer and then the fall. Now, what happened in August, from what I remember, and you can correct me, Jack, anytime, we got a lot of rain. It was very wet. It was a very wet summer towards August. And a lot of the beekeepers were complaining about moisture or, fungal or whatever, because of, again, this has to do with weather and sources, and also, by the way, food sources.
Yeah.
And we came into the fall, and then you can describe what was going on in the fall, and then we'll go into this after the winter and the spring, what happened. So go from there.
Yeah, I'll just two steps back though. In the summertime, the one thing though, the production of honey happened to be quite surpassed to the other hives. The other hives were kind of making even funny comb, like they would make comb and then they would like split it, like kind of off the side, and the comb I noticed was not as linear or as I guess straight as normally when you pull up a frame and you see these like nice smooth comb waxed. So that was one thing I noticed in the summer. Plus, those three hives ended up producing a lot more honey in general over the other hives. So we definitely had double our production from last year. But again, then going into fall, like Brent mentioned, it was quite wet and damp. So then we had some issues with we went to open them up, I guess, in September and into even October, and we did find mold. So there was issues with, just the ventilation. They don't like cold, damp kind of environments. And so we ended up losing a couple of our hives just prior even going into the winter season, which, sad, but it's a fact of, I think, beekeeping as well. So we it was unfortunate, but yeah, I think the weather issues, definitely, the mild and wet fall, going into even our mild winter that we had here, has also affected us. And then,
Mhm.
yeah, over the winter, what happened to them as well. Mhm.
Yeah. And then you and I got together about 3 weeks ago, thereabouts, and we assessed it. And yes, there was, and this was across the whole areas of certain areas of lost hives because due to these conditions. And you and I decided, okay, this year, we want to build up. I think we're going to build up, and you correct me, we're going to build up another 3 or 4 hives. But there was one hive that was particularly doing okay
Yeah.
in the spring, right? And then we took. I think you said you put a cell into that hive for the spring, and you can describe what happened from there. But we also provided Jackie with a new queen and two nukes, which is queen and a colony. A colony. You can explain, and that will start to build back up our hives because that's what we do. We support the bees from not only building up their immune systems and dealing with the honey, most fabulous honey, but we also deal with when they do have problems from food source or weather, is that we build up back the hives too financially for them. So you can just describe what you've done since that hive and what you're doing now.
Yeah, thanks, Brent. So yeah, we basically found that because of the mild winter, some of those hives that we kind of went into winter with, they had passed, and I opened those up, and again, there was a lot of mold issues. Now, I think they might have died earlier in the season because we still had some frames that had honey on it. So it wasn't a fact that there was no food in the hives. There was still lots of food. It's most likely due to the weather, maybe also a portion due to mite control. That might have been an effect as well. But this one hive that did survive, they were, and I believe it was a split that I had made early in the season. And they kind of build up their colony over the course of last summer. And but first thing in the spring, they were quite active. And so I decided, I feel like this is a good hive to, even like the energy is like, okay, they're ready to be producing more vigorously. So I decided, okay, I'm going to put a cell in there. And I kind of sense that, they're quite active. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna actually split it right away. So I took out 4 frames, and then I took some other honey from another collapsed colony cells for the honey, and basically made a nuke, or split right off the bat. And the one thing, before I actually entered that hive, before I put that cell on, I felt, oh, they're a little like aggressive, and I said, oh boy, they're not going to like me taking their honey, and or their brood, their babies. So then I said, okay, well, you guys are going to get a cell then, because I'd rather work with them with the cells than not. And literally within that week after I opened them back up and they were happy, they were a lot calmer. They're just like all of a sudden they were less excitable, less less ability to attack me. And so yeah, then we ended up discussing with Brent to support us, and that is very kind of you guys to be able to help us, and to feel like we're part of that community, that bee community, and supportive help. And yeah, we're getting 2 nukes. They're coming in June, but we got already a queen, and I introduced her last week and looked her up a couple days ago, and she had. So what we do is we get a queen from another beekeeping provider, and either they make those here in Ontario, or they fly them in from another part of the world. And the one that I ended up getting was an Italian bee, a queen bee. And so I put her in. She's like in a bit of a bee cage, and with some of her helpers. And you introduce her into it, and you leave her alone, and hopefully she'll eat out the sugar plug, and the pheromones from her will be attracted already over time, over that like 2 to 3 day period, and she'll come out, and the colony will accept her. And I believe she's been accepted, because there was no dead queen, because they would kill her in that cage otherwise. I saw that last year. So, but yeah, no, this is a positive aspect. So she looks like she's happy, and the colony is happy in the new split that I did just last week. So yeah.
Nice, nice. And then we'll get that. And just on that note, as Jackie was saying, we're so well honored and proud to support her, and more of what the future. But I want to let all you know that you're the reason for that. What happens is when you go onto Braveheart and you're buying honey and the cells, we use a good portion of that money to then supply it to the beekeepers. That's why they don't have to financially worry about that. And if Jackie wanted to expand, we'd be wanting to do that, because that's what we're having the public do, is support us to do that, because they do run into bad seasons or food sources or so forth. Or just in another case of a big commercial beekeeper, they had 2 yards of never 2 years, sorry, of a yard of over 40 hives, not losing any hives at all. But then this year they lost 9 hives, simply because those strength and those queens ran out. So it's just a fact of life. So we came in and support that. So it's really you out there that's helping us to help Jackie, right? So I just wanted to make that clear, is that it's really, when she's thanking us, she's really also thanking mostly you out there, because it's your support, right? So we're looking forward to this year, because and what we'll do, Jackie, is we'll come back out, whether that be the end of May or whenever you're ready to start building those hives up, and we'll work with you with that, boxes and set it up, or whatever you're going to do, and then start to just work with you this year, and let's just go on a real tear, food source wise, or whatever you need. Let's work together and have a really good honey production this year from you, right? So that's would that be, Jackie, would that be end of May or June that we would be looking at that?
The honey production, honey production?
Well, or just setting up the new nukes and the hives and so forth.
Yeah, so the expected time, I think, is probably late May, beginning of June for the 2 nukes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add though, so I checked the queen with the new the split, the new hive, and I looked at the original donor hive, and that actually, since I put that cell in, I just feel like they're even more productive than the first time than when I opened them up. Of course, we've had nicer weather. But I'm almost feeling a sense that I may even have to split again. And that sometimes if the colony is so, good, or the queen is so fertile and she's making, crazy amount of offspring, then I may just have to split it again and see. Now, in that sense, I can either leave it and see if the split will make a new queen, or I can get another queen. Of course, that just rampens the production quicker. But just to let you know, that's kind of in the back of my head, that I noticed the other day when I opened them up. So they seem to be quite happy, that I kind of gave them space, and it might just end up having to split them again. So looking forward to it.
Well, let me know. Let me know on that because we'll come out and we'll work as a team. And if you want to, if it gets to where there's a lot and you want to expand another one or whatever you need, just let me know. And, we'll follow it through the summer. And we'll see also food sources, whatever else you're thinking. Like when I say food sources, everybody out there, we're talking about specialized seeds that grow flowers in her area that are specific to that area for the bees because it's different everywhere. So we'll look at that this year. But yeah, we're excited because what happens with working with Jackie, because it's so tight relationship and smaller, unlike some of our bigger commercial beekeepers who have 800 hives or 1,000, we're able to see things more definitively and clearly or get better information. So it's really important and that we work along together, and we wanted to show you just the authenticity of that. We work from anywhere from someone like Jackie who's dealing with maybe 4, 5, 9 hives to right up to people that are under 1,000 hives. So they have different aspects and needs because they're running, commercial business. And so they really, it's really important on their honey productions and all that kind of stuff. So we'll you can, we'll have more videos on that and showing you. But again, it's all back to your support back into here because, as Jake said, in order to help the ecology and bees, we have to support the beekeepers. They control 98% of what the bees are doing. So we've got to make sure they're healthy, and that means financially healthy, that they, because they struggle, it's a struggle. It's expensive. You're buying different products and queens, and it's something that, that's, and support for, varroa mites and things like this. So I from there is basically, Jake, as we could get into questions. I'm sure that would be more important, this time because it's all about bees and nobody knows better than Jackie. And so we do questions and then set up for where we'll flow next.
Sounds
Perfect.
good.
Yeah, we have a couple questions in right now. Okay, so one of the questions was, the average bee lifespan is roughly 4 weeks. Have you seen an increase in the lifespan from using the magnets?
For me, I think as a beekeeper that's fairly new and it's a hobby, so I can't honestly say if I've known that there's an extended lifespan of these bees, but I can say that the queen itself, if she's noticed, or say the colony as itself, if they are low in their production, she's gonna maybe ramp up her production, or maybe she needs to be removed. And like what I think that happened last year is that, or over the winter, is that the I was already 3 years into being a beekeeper, and it's very common that you will have like a lower production or of offspring. So I can't personally say that, but I noticed that the bees themselves, they are prolific as going into like this next part of the season. So far, they've been quite extended, but I can't really comment to say that for true that I've seen a difference with the cells.
And we haven't either in terms of lifespan or longevity. But what Jackie's explaining is increased quality of life during that lifespan. And I just want to plant a seed in relationship to a way to think about what the cell is doing and how it's helping the bees. So, and I'll relate it to the human condition first. So when human beings are under stress, stress is not necessarily a bad thing. There's eustress, which is when your loved one surprises you with your birthday party, and you go in and there's elevated blood pressure there's anxiety, but it's surrounded in all joy, or going to the gym or going on a long hike. That's stressful, but that's eustress. That's good stress. Unmanaged chronic stress leads to chronic stress. So unmanaged acute stress leads to chronic stress. Everything we talked about in our second segment, the present day stressors of electromagnetic pollution, to the insecticides or the chemicals in our diet, to all the GMO genetically modification of the world, the media, the information going into our psyche, that accumulated stress wears on the human being. And you've heard of this term before, the fight or flight response, which is designed in our body to protect us when the bear enters the village. We're not too far removed when we weren't hanging around Zoom or on the streaming platform you're on right now. You were around the village, and the mothers and daughters protected the young. The men went out to hunt. When the bear came into the village, everyone's adrenaline was released and a stress hormone called cortisone, which forces you to shut off your digestive tract, increase your blood pressure, increase your alertness so you can survive. Well, what's happening in the present day stress is that the stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, these aren't shut off, which is starting to then affect our daily quality of life, leading to the dis-ease in our bodies. So let's now translate that to our bees. The cell is placing and giving an opportunity, and again, calm and tranquil, more receptive, more harmonized. When your body is resting and harmonized and in groove, and you have a clear purpose, and your relationships are healthy, and you're able to go and live your purpose daily, your stress hormones drop. Now, there's a stress hormone for insects too, you guys. It's called octopamine. Now, what this is designed for, and this is also like a neurotransmitter, it's like a hormone, and the octopamine functions as a neuromodulator, neurotransmitter, or neurohormone in insects' nervous systems and prompts the whole organism to take dynamic action. It's an important part of their life. When they sting, the hormones release where the other bees go. This is elevated in a very aggressive, active hive, but it's needed to go and motivate to go work too. Just like in the human body, there's the good stress. If you sit on your couch all day listening to podcasts, that's not a healthy either. You need the variety and the dynamic of stress in your life. The cell offers this environment for them to relax and do their job. And that in that space is where you regenerate. In that harmony is where you reconnect and you live your best life. So back to the question, does it extend the life? We don't know. We won't make that claim until more research is done. We can make the statement from our experiences with testimony and experience in the field, like Jackie and her bees and the other beekeepers, that it's improving the quality of the life of the bee based on those reasoning. So I hope that helps you guys give a little understanding of what the cell does, how it relates to helping the body, helping the bee really get harmonized with those stress hormones so they're able to live their best life. There's my little spiel, but I think it's important because it does correlate to the way organisms in the world, including humans and bees, operate and what triggers us. We go around hyper stimulated, hyperactive, hyper stressed. What happens? What ultimately unfolds? We cause harm to ourselves. We hurt. We injure ourselves, or we get sick, or the immune system directly tied to the stress hormones of an organism and how that's regulated and managed. So that's my opinion and my experience being co-founder with my partner, how the cell is playing a role in the life of the organisms it touches. So there you go. There's a little spiel for you guys to think about and chew on.
Sage, I think you had
Wonderful.
another question.
Go, Sage.
Yeah, we have a couple more questions. So one girl she's introducing the cells and the honey to their local beekeepers and wonder how they can get involved and help.
So let me feedback the question. You have someone who's
She has
Who's
beekeepers who want to
introducing?
get involved and like help with this like movement and like want to
that they
learn.
know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what we do is we have a contact for us that we can send out, that we contact a beekeeper that the area that they're in, how many hives. So we go through just a process that they contact us, and Jake can give that information out to you. Where they contact us, and then what we do is we consign cells to the beekeeper and track it with them, just like we are with Jackie. So there's no cost, but we just have sort of a vetting process to make sure it's a match, where they are, what they're doing, what we're helping. So that's how we go about that. So it's just a process of that we get to know each other.
And if you are interested, reach out to the platform that you're on right now. Connect with Sage, Braveheart Nation, Doc of Detox. That's where you can access the Pure Wave cell, of course, and the honey. But you can also reach out, and they will then pass along your information to us, and we can help walk you through that application process. So
that's great, Jake, because we actually had from Doc of Detox a wonderful gal, Julia, down in Florida, Julia and Sarah, and they reached out through Doc of Detox. We connected with them. We're now sending cells down to Florida, and we'll start that process. So that's exactly the way it works. So
I want to just reiterate something that Brent said there, and just let all the listeners, all you guys understand that we are a grassroots organization supporting. We do have to have an application so that the relationship makes sure it's a solid O. We just have to connect and make sure that mutual programs nurtured. It's always good, instead of getting these cells out there with no rapport, no feedback loop, no relationship, we're not able to then really truly connect. Like Jackie is so willing, and we thank you, Jackie, for being a part of this. And we thank, like Brent said, all of you guys are supporting Jackie. We're just the facilitators. We're just messengers to support Jackie. But we do that through the support of you sharing this, being aware of it, number one. Obviously, supporting, trying the amazing honey from our region. Local honey is very important too. We understand and know the benefits. Local beekeeper here. I'm in Michigan. Stephen we'll have Stephen on. An amazing backyard beekeeper, has a couple hives. Started 3 years ago because his own, and we'll talk more about next week in regards to honey and the benefits of honey and things you can do with honey. But he actually got off all his medications for allergies because he researched about 5-6 years ago that the local pollinators and this amazing production and this product honey can help with that. So he embarked on his path and has now he in Michigan, similar to your area, in the springtime, the pollens can be pretty heavy depending on the season. And he's clear. He's clear. He's not having to take med. He's not having to go down that bubble, that program of lifelong subscription to a pharmaceutical for something that nature is trying to tell him. An allergy is a sign, you guys. It's an alarm system that you listen to. You don't avoid. I know Daryl and Sage talk a lot about these things in their programs and their trainings. But he's good. He's using the cells. We just got them in this fall. So till next fall, we'll start really tapping into how his hives are doing. But I'll tell you, we were just out a couple of weeks ago. We unpacked the hives, and they were, like you said, Jackie, he didn't know if he wanted to split and create more hives, right? He wasn't quite prepared because the previous year they didn't make it through the winter here. This year they're so abundant. He's like, oh no, do I need more? Do I need to split and box these? And he's got a couple swarm catchers around because they were so vibrant. They were already running out of room. 3 or 4 of the plates were filled with honey already, from just the winter. And so there's findings, and he's in a beautiful area. There's some apple orchard, flowers. It's already like abundant in terms of the food source, but it's exciting, fun, great questions. So again, regarding contacting us, contact through the platform, chat. I don't know if you're on the Instagram, Facebook, all the avenues that Braveheart Nation's broadcasted through. In the chat, ask for more information, and then they will contact us. We'll be able to get you that application. Hope that helps.
Okay, that good. Next question.
Next question is, Jackie, how long have you been beekeeping, and what is the biggest challenge you have faced?
So this is my 4th year beekeeping. I guess the most challenging thing that I'm actually having to face is the climate change. The winter was mild. Then we had, moisture in last summer. And I feel that, if you have too high moisture or it's been raining a lot, then the bees don't like to literally come outside. You don't even want to open a hive when it's raining. Then if it's too dry, then you don't have even nectar flow. So if 2 extremes, like I think last spring or the year before, we had a really dry, like 6 to 8 weeks. I think it was maybe 8 weeks. We had a dry season in the spring. And then, you have lack of nectar flow. And if that can also affect how the bees are able to, bring in the pollen, making their bee bread, which is a combination of pollen and immune boosting properties for them for the generation of the hive, and to feed their young and to feed the next generation of bees. So definitely, and then the chemtrails, the smog, we had wildfires last summer, maybe that affected our hives. I mean, it didn't even smell like burning wood. It smelled, I found like it was burning plastic at one point. So really we can't see necessarily the pollutants in the air, but it can affect us humans, and affect the bees and the insects and the pollinators for sure. So and then the spraying any chemicals that they would spray on the hay fields or whatnot. Now we don't have particularly any hay fields or apple orchards directly around our hives. They're at least I think 3 to 5 kilometers away, and we're kind of nestled in a niche where there's a lot of forested area, and on the property, he's a permaculturist, Ivan, and he has a plethora of biodiverse trees and shrubs. So our bees definitely they love the region. But again, I can't really combat weather. I mean, that's the hardest part, I think, of the equation.
Wonderful.
Control. Yeah. I mean, that's also,
That's a part of it, yeah.
It's so unique to every beekeeper, and that there's not a box that is the right scenario and circumstance for every beekeeper. There's no environment. So yeah.
Well said, Jake, that it's basically what we're letting you know is PureWave cell, like for us and the bees, it builds immune system, but we still have the ecology, we have weather, we have food sources, just like everything else. We have to balance everything. And that's why when we're supporting and really doing it out there, that's why the public and sporting it, we have the queens, we have the rebuilding of hives, we have bee boxes, which we're going to be showing you what's going on with that, to support the beekeepers so that financially it becomes very easy for them to rebuild should there be a bad season or, like a horrific year. Like a heavy rainy year means the bees can't get out and get food. They won't go out. They can't get out and get their food sources. So this is why it's a whole cycle. It's never just one thing. But what we're able to do is to really make sure the bees have the best chance at it. And then we have to support the other things, which is what the bees are up against, what Jackie's talking about. So it's a whole program, and that's what we're doing. And we really appreciate the support. So that's, and we're coming showing you what we're doing. So it's exciting,
Awesome. So we just have one more question. And that question is, I see only that you guys carry the 330 grams of the jars of honey. Are you going to carry a larger size?
Yeah, it's a good question. We picked that size because like most of our honey is shipped and is done, but it also it's the amount of honey we get too, because we don't source honey like in volume, it comes from the hives that have the cells and so forth. It sort of limits us to a limited volume of honey. We're looking to expand that, but right now we have a limited volume of honey. So we put it in the small so more people can get it. We can get it out there. Also, the cost factors back to the beekeepers. We pay a premium for honey. It's another thing we do for the beekeeper, that when we purchase honey from them by the public, we pay a lot more to them than what the average wholesale is. So that, again, the support back to them. So because of what they're doing for us and putting the cells in but it's the limited quantity of honey that we get, high quality, quantity low. And so that now maybe down the road, as that starts to branch out, as we get into, 4th, 5th, 6th years, and we can get our hands on more and more honey, because we're very selective. There's areas that even though we help the beekeepers, we will not get the honey from there. It's just an area that the environment is not conducive. So the beekeepers can't help that. They're in those areas. But without mentioning, there's areas where we don't purchase the honey from just because of the environment around it. So I hope that answers it. It's more in the limited quantity of honey that we get now, because we can only get so much. But I think down the road, we'll look at that and as we start to have what we feel will have enough honey, we'll make it, like in larger quantities. And also if people require that, that they want to spend on more. So we'll look at that. But that's the reason now. So hopefully that can answer.
Thank you. So that's pretty much it for questions that I'm getting here. If you guys kind of want to give us a little glimpse into what the future holds and where we're going with this show and what's going to be coming up.
Go for it, Jake. What's next? Oh. No, we're not hearing.
Oh, sorry, I muted myself. I thought there was a little feedback earlier and it was coming from me, but it wasn't. But I stayed muted. No, thanks, Sage. Thank you for having us every week. Before I talk about next week, I just want to say a big shout out. Jackie, thank you so much for being here. Thank
you, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie, for joining. This was awesome.
Thank you for sharing just your journey and the ins and outs of what your experiences have been working with us. It's just enlightening to hear and to hear you from your experience. I think it adds so much value to everything we're talking about, what we're doing, and especially the people who are wanting to get involved more. It's just such a treat. So thank you. And we look forward to having you on again. Now, next week, you guys, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the honey. What makes this honey? So the last question was really relevant, but we're going to talk about some of the healing components of honey. Give you guys some good information to discern and make sure that the quality, if you do import honey or get it, there's a lot of counterfeit and honey that is not. It's the second or third most adulterated food in the world. And you just want to make sure your sourcing is good. We're going to get into some recipes, some things that you can use to support the human condition and the body. We're going to have a special guest on, one of our Inner Circle team members, Terry McGrath, is going to be here. He's a culinary expert and also part of our team, sharing some of these really practical ways you can use honey in your life. And that's going to be tomorrow, or no, next Thursday.
Next week.
Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm already excited to do it tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, that's in the future. And Brent, any closing thoughts, words before we head out? If there's any other questions, we're here too.
Yeah, no, just no, that's fabulous. And then, so next week, as Jake said, we'll get into the honey and really break it down so that you guys can really understand it. And then we want to, then we want to then swing back into drilling down into what actually happens at cellular level, get back into the technology so you guys can start to see that. We'll bring on frequency, people that deal in frequency, experts that come on and are dealing with pulse electromagnetic frequency. So we want to continue to really let you guys know not only why this works, why we're doing it, but then the benefits that come out of it, and then how we can all make that work back into as a group or a collective. So now we truly are all working together, right? So again, huge thank you for everybody listening. And again, all of these videos or podcast or whatever they're on, Be Brave. I think they're Sage, they're in the Braveheart library. Would that be correct?
They're in the Braveheart Nation library, as well as like if
Yep.
you just go to Dr.
Yep.
Daryl Wolf on Facebook as well, you can see it just in the video prompts, and then that'll be kind of like in the B section. But you can find it on the DACA Detox library. You can find it on Braveheart Nation. You can find it on Dr. Daryl Wolf on YouTube. So just check it out wherever you are, on whatever platform you're on.
Yeah, and then just a shout out to say, hey, be amazing, be brave. We're all doing it, and the future is bright. It really is. We're excited.
Thanks,
Well,
everybody.
thank you guys for joining. I appreciate your time. Thank you, Bravehearts, for watching. Be brave. As Brent said, we will catch you in the next one next week. Much love, Bravehearts.
Later. Bye. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Jackie.
Yeah.